Hey, good morning, all of you. Really lovely to see you arriving here and settling in from so many different parts of this planet. My name is Nirmala Werner, and I'm speaking from Germany, from a rural place between Bremen and Hanover in the north of Germany. That's where I live with my family in a community, and that's mostly also the place where I teach, at least over the last years. There's a beautiful Zen temple in the forest here, which I'm sometimes blessed to be able to offer retreats in this beautiful space. It's really in the forest. And also here are many opportunities to share retreats and other beautiful stuff. So the topic I was going with this week is our longing for belonging. And I'm missing to be really in exchange with you, because I would really like to hear what have landed with you so far, and if these teachings have been beneficial or opened up maybe something which was surprising, or maybe there are doubts or questions. So if you want, you could share that today, and I'm happy to receive your questions. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat with the capital word question. And if you want to come on screen, which is so welcome to do, you can raise up your hand. There's a hand button there, and press that, and then I can invite you. And there's time for that at the end of the session. So I will talk about 15 minutes, and then we have 30 minutes for our meditation. And then at the end, we do 15 minutes of inquiring, sharing, reflecting, and most welcome your questions. They're a gift, and your presence here is a gift. And so this week I was looking into how everything is leaning into everything else. And so this practice we are doing, and you're showing up here, is really a leaning into. It's spreading out. It's like if I would be here alone, and wouldn't be a sense of doing this. And if only a few people would be here, 5 or so, it would be more difficult for them to show up every day again. It's really supporting that you come. Thank you so much. This practice of belonging, this embodied practice of belonging, be our longing, and live from there also, can really bring us to live from a completely different place. If you move around through your space at home, if you move around through nature with the sense of belonging and really tuning into, and I do that sometimes before a meal, reflecting, wow, there's the whole world in this meal. So there are notes that the screen is freezing, and I looked at some of the recordings yesterday to see how long it freezes. you can still hear me. I don't know what to do about it. Seems that the internet connection is not so great here at the moment, and it's quite really like I drive more than an hour to the next highway from here. So it's quite rural, and the Wi-Fi isn't always that good, or the internet. So I like to read you a text, and you might have heard it before. I'm sure a lot of you do. It's from Thich Nhat Hanh, Call Me by My True Names. And his teachings were really about interconnectedness. And what I meant by walking through life in a completely different way, by living from this belonging, by living from the sense of interconnectedness, it can really, like for me, is the practice of really feeling the wool socks I'm having on, and relating to the sheep, and relating to the people like who work with the sheep and their families and the food they eat and their soil. And this is, I think, a very nourishing way to move through life. Yeah, thank you for your comments. There's some part at the end of the poem, which in Plum Village, the retreat place where Thich Nhat Hanh was living and teaching, it's a song. I tried to get it right yesterday, but I didn't, so I won't sing it to you. Don't be afraid. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today, I'm still arriving. Look deeply. Every second I'm arriving to a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I'm a mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I'm the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I'm a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I'm the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I'm the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks. And I'm the arms merchant, selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I'm the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I'm also the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I'm a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands. And I'm the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm. It makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up and the door of my heart could be left open, the door of compassion. Belonging to everything. Before the 20th century, there lived lots of predators, like animals, wild animals in Yellowstone National Park, like wolves and black bears, grizzlies, and they were eradicated by the government, shot to death. And about after like 100 years now, from 100 years ago now, there were no wolves there anymore. And they brought the wolves back 25 years ago because there were so many deers then when the wolves didn't kill the deers anymore. And the deers were starving because there wasn't enough food for them in the national park. And also the trees were like not growing as they should to keep the whole landscape alive and healthy, because they were eaten by so many deers who then were starving. So when the wolves came back, the population of deer got stable again in the national park, because the wolves, they were kind of caring for the place in a very natural, very instinctive way. And there were mostly killing, or almost only, the research said, all the female deers. And in times when there was little food, and then when it was very dry and there was little grass and very little flowers to eat for the deers, the wolves didn't kill the female deer. They went to the bulls, which were then weak because there wasn't enough food. And I found that like so interesting. Instead of killing the female deer, which then could like reproduce and keep the herds in a stable amount of numbers, they would go to a malnourished bull that was like 150 kilogram, like heavier than the easy to hunt female deer, but they kept them alive. And that was like shown over like 25 years. I think now it's maybe even more than 25 years. Don't know when I read that, 2 years ago. So like what's fascinating there for me is to see the wisdom there in the animals. And I think that we humans, we often like, it's considered that we humans are more intelligent than animals. I'm just looking at my cat, so sweet cat. And I doubt that, like, I can see the sense where this, like, we make this from. And if we really look in animals, like what the wolves tell us here, from caring so much in a way, in their way, for Yellowstone National Park, because of course all the trees also could come back, and with this other animals, it seems to be so healthy and so caring and so much living in the sense of everything belongs. And when I look at animals, what I find very fascinating is their bodies, their natural movement in their bodies. And I was offering some embodied teachings this week, even with standing up, moving the pelvis, moving like the space where the embodiment can really inhabit our body. And I encourage you to look at animals and to really learn from them. I'm offering these embodiment retreats where it's a lot about lowering the alarm system, regulation, like regulating yourself, like really embodying, really come to a space of presence, purity, presence, but also do a co-regulation practice, because like it can be really valuable to put the Dharma practice really in contact with somebody else, like not just do it for yourself on a cushion or like we do in a group together, but really physically come together and embody yourself and see how is it to be around other embodied beings and move yourself through space with your patterns, with the stuff which is coming up, because we have the tendency to freeze. And it's really the invitation to to walk that with it during your day, like when you're maybe in a crowd of people in the supermarket or wherever, like feel the distance we keep. And of course, it's good to have a healthy distance to people, like otherwise we could get in trouble. Like if you just hug everybody or like lay our head on somebody else's shoulder, we don't know. But just like, how would it be to stay open in the body, to stay receptive, to stay fluid? And that's something like and like one thing I like to do is always invite movement in between to see for myself, where am I getting stiff? And there is some distance happening to another person also. And just to go more with questions of, okay, where can I risk myself? Where can I risk myself? Because I have the feeling we've forgotten to be really close to each other. In other cultures, it's so normally when I lived in India, like you have lunch and then they roll out the straw mats and you lay all together on the straw mats and rest. And then you have a leg over your chest and you have a hand over your arm and your feet is hanging over another person's feet. And like there's so much interconnectedness there, so much belonging in a way, like bodies belonging to each other, skin relating to other skin, tissue relating to other tissue. And just one last thing before our meditation, I was sharing it the first day here. It's really beautiful, the snow. It started like 2 days ago. It was just on the roofs, like really, really little. And today it's on, yesterday then it came on, it was a first real snow on the streets. I just saw, you can see it here in the window. So I was sharing about the accident I was having, and I was actually it happened like almost 6 weeks ago, and I was in a group in a retreat space where it was about embodiment as well, and regulation, nervous system regulation, and we were there 3 full days already. So everybody was really arriving, really at comfort, really at ease. Like there was a lot of spaciousness, and the issues which came up could be held in the space, in the loving, caring, compassionate room. And then by accident, while you could call it dancing, moving around, I got an elbow, like really hard crashed in this place of my body, which started to open. I couldn't open my eye and stuff like that. But where it really did damage was in the head and in the neck. So I was laying for 5 weeks in bed. And so it was really, this shock was really strong, was stronger than everything else. But even being in a group of almost 20 people, nobody could, and me neither, could dive deep into our wisdom that me and the person who kicked me, not by like it was an accident, did need somebody to regulate our nervous system, to hold and to remind ourselves of presence. Like I was luckily in tune with my breath and with my body, while feeling a lot of anxiety at the same time and stress in the body. And it would have been so helpful to just have the space and the silence around me, somebody to hold the space. And this is like in intense situation in our lives, we lose our capacity to hold space and to dive into silence. And this is what we need in intense situation, to just allow to come through what wants to come through. And it can be like, it doesn't need to be an accident, it can be really any situation, like to allow the feelings there, to allow the emotions there, everything which is coming up, the stories or judgments. And then if there is another person with you witnessing, could be your partner or your friend, and it's like the body knows how to regulate itself. And now I researched about trauma, and also I'm in a training of trauma therapy myself, like offering it to other people. I understand that the cat is laying like this. Just how often do we do like just during the day in front of the oven? So that If a shock happens to you, an accident, the best thing is to keep the person at the space where the accident happens. Of course, that's not always possible, but if it's possible, and also really with really young children, if like they have an accident, just do the same thing and give space, hold, you see it, like my arms doing like this, hold space and silence, and the nature is there, and you can already settle into a meditation posture if you want. Or this is the invitation. The nature is there is really showing us that it's time for silence and that it's time to become quiet. And like what, allow yourself a position now which is really relaxing for yourself, which is soothing down the nervous system, which gives you a sense of belonging just right now, just where you are. Maybe feeling the season of winter, which we have here in Europe, in your tissues. We are part of nature. And the winter season is the season which invites us to become quiet, to become still. And there's a strong encouragement to allow the seasons to your body. So make yourself as comfortable as the cat in front of the oven. While staying awake. Deep rest, deep silence. Doesn't mean that we fall asleep. It may happen. What if there's no problem with that for now? Just for today, just for this time. Like surrendering to a huger wisdom, a bigger knowledge, beyond everything. Like sinking in, relaxing into a wisdom which just allows our body to do what it wants to do. While still keeping this as a space for meditation. So if your body is telling you the story of, oh, I want to go outside for a walk, how to let this through in your body right now, being here, staying here. Maybe taking a time for deep breath. Maybe there is micro movement which enters your cells. And if there is strong tension somewhere, what about moving these parts a bit? Like just reminding themselves of the possibility of regulating themselves. Just they know it. They know how to do it. Our body knows the way. Our body knows the way, knows the path into deep thinking, into deep rest. Maybe you feel tension in the jar. Move it a bit. Maybe intentionally dropping down your shoulders a bit more, allowing the space within the shoulders to sink into the space between the heart and the lungs and the diaphragm. Tuning in into a sense of belonging. With your body, on the cushion you're sitting on the mat you're laying on the earth. Maybe getting in touch with texture. There's something soothing to your body. Maybe the texture of a wooden floor, just to remind the tissue of who knows what. Maybe the texture of your jumper. Cuddling into the earth, into all the material which comes from earth. Being surrounded by earth and even buildings, all this comes from earth, comes from different hearts on this earth. And cuddling in even a bit more, inviting kindness and gentleness. Maybe relating to the protection of the sky above. Feeling the kindness and the care of the earth. all you being here is a gift from the earth. Surrendering to the yes which comes from the earth. Yes, you're just allowed to be here, to be part of it, just as you are, without having to be in any way different. Just like this. You belong. You belong. With your joy, with your tears, with your laughter, with your stories, memories, with your fear, your envy, your judgments. You belong. Maybe allowing the body to drop down even more, allowing the tissue to release the outer layer of the skin and the space underneath the skin. Allowing yourself to sense into the belonging with all of your aspects, all of your body. The body knows it belongs. When you hurt your left hand, the right hand is there immediately to care. If you hurt your head, the right hand goes there immediately. It knows it belongs. Tuning in with care, kindness, and compassion to the texture inside your body. the solidity, the fluidity, the spaciousness. The temperature, what is your inner temperature like? Tuning to the landscape of your body. Maybe just give yourself to the permission to sink even more, to follow the season of going inwardly, becoming quiet, quiet as the landscape of snow. So quiet that you can hear the sounds physically with your body, the sounds of your mind, and the sounds in terms of sounds. And maybe open up to sounds a bit more, allowing the whole body to listen, feeling this music coming and going through the body, through space, through silence. permission to rest, permission to be. Surrounded by all the trees and the plants on this planet. Surrounded by the oceans, by the sky, the sun, the soil. Expanding out in this one big breath we all belong to. All breathing from the same air. Opening up to infinity, spaciousness. My joy is like spring, so warm. It makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. So please call me by my true names, so I can wake up and the door of my heart could be left open, the door of compassion. Feeling in your body where these words land. Tuning inwardly while hearing my voice. Being aware of stuff happening. Who knows exactly what? Being aware of thoughts while this moment listening to my voice. While starting maybe micro movements in your body again. And as you slowly find your way back to the screen, can you slow down? Can you just slow down like winter? Winter in your bones, winter in your veins. And what if there could be different times during the day where you remind yourself of the trees who go into a pause now with the seasons, taking more pauses, being more honest to our need for rest, and being curious and open to where that can lead to when we really allow ourselves non-doing. So thank you all so much for the practice. May there be peace on earth. May there be peace on earth. May there be peace on earth. Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. You're showing up every day. And I appreciate this platform so much. And I like to talk now about Dana briefly. And post here the Dana link. Doesn't work. Okay. This platform, as you all might know, runs completely on donations, which is amazing because it's running since several years already. And There are so many different teachers from all over the world. And that's all possible because of us. Because of our showing up here and because of our financial support to the platform and to the teachers, including myself. So we thank you so much for any financial support. And of course, you are really welcome to be here, even if you can't financially support. And I do assume that probably all, maybe all of us who are in the privilege of joining these teachings in the morning, because it says something about our life circumstances if we are able to join, that we can always give something. And by that, I don't only mean the financial support to Sangha Life, which is really like so valuable that we have that, because otherwise we can't run this platform. And if I don't have it for my life, I would have to do like a very normal job and wouldn't have to listen to the questions of my children anymore, how that works with jhana. They don't believe it works, but we are living from it, but they still don't think it works. It's a paradox. Yeah. Giving when we can. Yeah. Also to our neighbors, to the people around us. For myself, I decided always to give. If somebody asked me for money, like it opens happen, as you know, in the cities, like just give. Opens the heart. Yeah, and your being here is a gift as well. Do you have any questions in regard to the practice today? In regard to the teachings, which were a bit more open today? You hear me in the meditation sometimes talking about texture, and like for me this is like really really something I take a bit more into account since several years, to connect like in a different way to what's around me. And my teacher Jaya, she recently, Jaya Ashmore, she's one of my like big teachers. I love her teachings. And she also introduced me, like one of the teachers who introduced me to deep rest meditation, laying down meditation, which I offer mostly in the retreats I lead. And she was saying about an experiment where there were people going for a job interview, and the people who were going to the job interview, they were like, they knew it's just an experiment, like it wasn't like just the research. And the people who were Jane Herrod, the people who were interviewing, some of them were having like a really hard clipboard in their hand, and some were having a really soft clipboard in their hand. And the ones with a hard share, actually it was a share and a clipboard, hard share, they're more likely to think that the person was like really good for the job. And the person sitting on a soft chair and having a soft clipboard, they were assuming that the person wouldn't be good for having the job. So now, Jane, there you are. So I try. But I don't, there are the box. Oh yeah, there you are. Thank you for coming on screen. So your microphone is still off, turned off. So there's the guy, as you are, okay, you can't use your microphone. Okay, I'm sorry. I read the reflection of Ruth. Today I have the person coming in, treat the door mouse that is living in our roof and has been keeping our son awake for 2 weeks and creating havoc in our lives. I know what treat means. We have tried oils and ultrasound. Thank you for trying. Wow. And this has been a difficult choice. In the meditation today, it became that dormouse just setting in for her last winter. It was hard and it was tender. Thank you for allowing me this prayer of love. Yeah. Thank you, Ruth, for sharing. This is interconnection. This is openness. This is care also. And a decision made with care. Caring for your son. And by that, caring for you. Maybe by that, caring even to the teachers of your son who don't have to teach like a very tired child. Yeah. Henry says, endangered and protected species here in the UK, a very vulnerable being. Well, I don't know if you talk about the mouse or about endangered and protected species. I don't think it's mouse there, right? Which are endangered and protected in the UK. So may all beings on earth feel safe and protected, be safe and protected. May all beings on earth may risk their vulnerability to show up, to stand up in the space of not knowing, in the space of belonging. May there be peace on earth. Thank you all so much for joining. I'm looking forward to be here with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.